Hey, welcome everyone to Andromeda 7, your celestial gateway. It's good to be with you guys tonight. Boy, we've missed everybody on the panel. We've missed you all in chat and at home watching. Good to be with you tonight. So we've got quite a lineup tonight, don't we, Teresa? We're going to talk a little bit about the planetary lineup, the parade of planets, they call it, that is aligning tonight, which is kind of a portal and a gateway in itself, bringing in those energies. And Teresa will talk more about that. We're also going to talk about the structure of the souls and a new paradigm and things that we've come to learn and understand. And it's really exciting. And the other thing is I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the last 5 years has been a real culmination of all the things that we've been learning, and we've been bringing it to you, like, spoon feeding it to you little by little, each hour, every couple of hours that we spend here every Friday night, just talking about, the essentials of ascension, which is, self-love, treat others the way you want to be treated, connecting with spirit, connecting with your guides, those types of things. So it's exciting to be at this level and at this point now to where we're really understanding the information and growing. We've learned so much. So I want to just thank everybody for being with us, and especially people who've been watching us since the very beginning and have witnessed our evolution. So it's been quite an experience. So thank you all for being a part of that. Greatly appreciate it. Also tonight, when we talk about the structure of the souls, Jasmine, you're going to really get a lot out of this because your Enneagram show that you did is going to discuss how the energies, how you pick up these energies in the lifetime that you live, how they play out in your life, and also how it plays out in relationships and collective relationships as well. So it's pretty interesting stuff. But first, let's get into the chat. Let's say hello to everybody in chat. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you, Chloe. Always a pleasure. Love seeing you in here. Thank you for your love and support. Elderberry, good to see you as well. Hope all is well on the farm or the ranch, whatever you call your little space out there. It's pretty cool. Got a lot of farm animals and things like that. I think you have chickens. Very cool.
I would love to visit his place.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a beautiful little spot. And how nice is that to be in nature all day long? I love that. Regine Huddleston, it's good to see you. Hope you're doing well and all is going good for you. Let's see who else we have. We've got Steve. Good to see you, Steve. Yeah, you get your brownie points, or let's see, we'll throw 5 stars at you. There you go, for being early tonight. It's good to see you and glad that you're here. Scotty boy, it ain't the same if you're not here. So we're always pleased to have you in the chat. Tonight, Sophia is not feeling well. Please send her some love. She's got some back issues. Focus some healing energy on her back for her, but she will be in chat. So we miss her, and when we got to chat with her for a little bit, so that was good. But she needs some downtime. So you take it, enjoy it, and hope you're feeling good. Yeah, there's Sophia right there. Hello.
Oh, hey, Lori.
Yes.
Lucky Stone has to sign out. He's going to take a break too. He's going to be listening in, but we want to send him a lot of love and universe gratitude and appreciation for taking care of him and protecting him when he totaled his car by hitting that deer. So I think he's been trying to get another car registered. But lucky, you're lucky. And I know it's been tough for you this past year and a half with these kinds of things. And so all our love and favor go to you, brother. And we're pulling for you. But we are so grateful that you're alive and kicking. And we'll see you around soon.
Those deer whistles will help a lot.
That's right.
Yep, it's going to be helpful. Dolly Belfour is in the chat. Good to see you, Dolly. Hello, Dolly. Love that. And
Regina.
Bauer, good to see you. Wonderful. Love seeing you here. Yep. And let's see. I think I pretty much got it. Did I miss anybody?
You got Regina, right? Regina. Yeah. Okay.
Don't like to miss anybody. Let's see. Yes, that looks like it's it. All right. Well, you guys like to start off with that little video to give you a little introduction on what we're talking about. But what we could do, Teresa, if you want to talk about the planetary stuff real quick, we could do that.
Yes.
And so just to give you a little background, they're calling this the planetary parade. So we're witnessing the extraordinary celestial event that won't happen again for another 400 years. So this is really rare, you guys. So you're part of this planetary alignment. And it's featuring Mars, Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, and Venus. So we will see that. So look up in the sky, see if you can see the alignment. But and you can Google it, look it up. But it's really cool. But Teresa, I'll have you, if you would, talk about the planets, because planets are celestial beings and they carry their own energy. And I think it's a good idea that you talk about what those energies are for each planet real quick.
Sure.
And then I'll throw up a slide here for you so that you guys can see this alignment and how this is going to play out. So here's the alignment.
Yeah, that's going on right now as we speak. So some of you might have a view of some of this. You've got your telescopes out, others might not. I don't have any clarity here where I live, so can't see nothing. But yeah, people call this, this is actually so much more powerful than just an alignment with the moon.
Yes.
Or one or two planets. This is like every 400 years kind of thing. So it's actually a very rare cosmic shift that has significant impact on your emotions, your energy, and even your destiny. Okay, because the moon is in Pisces, and that is strong enough because you've got the feminine energy actually asserting itself, and the male energy helping to bring her out and support that feminine energy. But it's a blending and a balance of the masculine and feminine. But the moon is in alignment with Pisces also. So there's a lot of water cleansing type of energy. And so it's a transformational alignment. It's known as you call it the planetary parade, Lori?
Yeah, and that's what they're calling it.
They're also calling it the mirrored shift, or the mirror.
Yeah.
Planetary mirroring of what all of the energy that's going on our planet right now, all of the things that are going on in nature, as well as within our own bodies, because we're part of that nature. And then also all the chaos and the disorder, the weather systems and politics and religion and all that. So, but the good news about this is that it affects you, and it's affecting people's sleep. Like Chloe, she's in there. She could tell you she hasn't, 2 hours a day or if any, over the last several days. People are having vivid dreams. They're experiencing a heightened level of intuition. They're noticing more synchronicities, and some of them are having bodily, physical issues, like joint pain and lower back problems, like Sophia, myself with Charlie horses and cramping in my legs. So there's various different things going on, and people are like, "What's going on?" Well, it's just an outward reflection of what you're being exposed to here in the 3D, but you're also feeling that energy coming off the planets. And so to talk more specifically about the planets, I made some notes because I learned something new, because you all know I'm not real into astrology.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been learning more and more. And with this particular alignment, it tells you I have identified the actual unique influences of the planet, of each planet in this alignment. It's kind of interesting. 7 sisters, 7 planets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a bringer. The bringer is Saturn. And Saturn has brings new lessons and discipline to the equation. Okay. So new things are going to start happening to you as a result of this energy shift. They're considering this a major shift, a transformational shift. And that's why there's 7 of them lined up. So Saturn brings the discipline and the new lessons. The governess or governor is Mercury. Mercury brings in, affects your communication. It governs how you communicate and your thoughts and your actions. But it's really helping you to tap into your higher thoughts, which are not your human mind as much, logical, physical brain, but the spiritual mind, the higher mind, which we're going to be talking about tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The enhancer is Neptune. Neptune enhances your intuition, enhances your dreams. So for those of you that are wondering, why am I having these crazy dreams and these vivid dreams? Look for messages in those dreams, because Neptune is trying to communicate something to you.
Even thoughts that pop into your mind, it's good to be mindful of that, especially if it comes out of the blue. That's a very subtle indication that Spirit's trying to connect with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. The amplifier is Venus. Venus amplifies the love in your relationships. And it's not just romantic love, it's how you love family members, friends, people you associate with, the general population. But it's that energy of love in relationships. So it amplifies that. Some people might meet new people, make new contacts, find your
Mm-hmm.
twin flame,
Or
find
close
your
out old
soulmate,
relationships.
or view relationships
Or
differently.
change place where you live, or change jobs. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
These are all areas of life that either you need to pay special attention to or might want to consider changing. So keep that in mind, because that's what this alignment is all about.
Mm-hmm.
The spark, the spark comes from Uranus or Uranus.
Uranus.
Uranus, sudden changes. You know, that's the planet of sudden changes. And so you could be heading down. A lot of people have been laid off or fired or let go. Some people have lost their housing. Some people are blessed with new beginnings and actively making decisions to start anew and fresh. So it's a time of changes, and they're not subtle, they're sudden. So things can happen to you overnight and freak you out, or they can happen and bring you great joy. Just be prepared for sudden changes.
Mm-hmm.
The planet that's bringing in, that gets fueled by this spark, is Mars energy.
Yeah.
And Mars is a planet of action and drive. So if you're driven to do something, or you all of a sudden have this urge to take action, or maybe it's because when you experienced a sudden change, or as you're experiencing these changes, you have to take necessary actions to respond to those situations. So that's what Mars is bringing in, that fuel. It fuels that energy that Uranus is sparking. Then the last one is the expander energy, and that's Jupiter. And that is new opportunities, ways of perceiving things as a challenge or a new opportunity or a new path, maybe. But it involves making choices and how you respond or the types of choices that you make, which might nudge your path in one way or another. So a lot of people look at this as a time of significant change. Some people see it as a subtle bump that they need to get off their butts and finally take action and do something. There's so many different things going on here, but it's a time of self-discovery, emotional shifts, and unperceived opportunities. So take advantage of the opportunities from this. And some of the exercises that they suggested, of course, we're all familiar with bathing, taking a bath and making it a spiritual ritual of cleansing, or swimming. None of us can do that, not all this ice and snow, but surrender your apprehensions and concerns and feelings of loss. Learn to trust the flow of the universe during this time. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, the planet of dreams and illusion and spiritual connection. So you will have heightened intuition, vivid dreams, more synchronicities. Pay attention to subtle messages from these planetary energies and look for them in your dreams, looking for them in your encounters with strangers. Lori had something happen to her the other night that was also happening to me, but I think I was nudged. I didn't see the synchronicity. I didn't see the connection until today. Lori.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a light in my mom's bedroom turned on, and I went up, turned it off. As I'm walking out the door, it pops back on. So Spirit was getting my attention. I did want to acknowledge this really quick because I just love to do that. Beloved Abstract, it's good to see you. We haven't seen you in a while. He says, yeah, let's put all our attention on the planets and everything else on the outside to avoid looking within. That's not what we're doing tonight. We're just simply seeing the synchronicity of the planetary alignment that's going on, the planetary parade. But we're going to get into the structure of the soul. So I hope you'll.
And I've started out by making it pretty clear that this alignment is about an outward reflection of what's going on within ourselves. Our inner selves, so within, so without. It's not about ego.
Yep.
It's about the energy that's going on inside of your own body and the chaos that's happening around us within our earthly environment, and how that gets reflected out into the cosmos, and how those planetary bodies, who do have an energy of their own, a personality of their own, and a soul of their own, reflects back. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mary's got an excellent take on this. An astrologer I follow often says that the planets impel, but they do not compel. We get to choose how to react to the energy, much like choosing to grab an umbrella if the forecast calls for rain. That's beautiful. I love that.
That's fantastic, Mary. Thank you.
That was very apropos.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Very perfect.
Wonderful.
Go ahead, Brian.
Go ahead, Brian.
I do have something to add, and it's not like this energy is going to be like in a week. Okay, it's not going to be around anymore. This energy is going to stick around for the next 90 days. So get used to it, because it's going to be here for a while.
It's a wave, and it stays in motion, and it might dissipate as they move on and change and shift. But it was not on purpose. We took Valentine's Day off, and we decided amongst ourselves to take an extra week off because Lori and I were both involved in all these different things. And so we took some extra time for ourselves, and it just so happens that this alignment came up. So the timing of this is perfect for tonight's discussion. But I will tell you before Lori begins, and she will with her video, keep an open mind. Remember, it's a time of transformation, spiritual transition, and growth. And so there might be some new things you hear tonight. You might be rehearing it in a different way. So it changes your perception of things. Or it might be the first time you've heard anybody talk about these. We have 3 other videos in our YouTube description that you can watch that leads up to this discussion tonight. So we've kind of paved the way for it. But it's just a new way of perceiving things and thinking about things. So keep an open mind, and maybe you'll see some.
And an open heart.
An open heart. So,
awesome.
To you, Lori.
Yep, will do. So I'm going to run this quick video. It's about 3 minutes. Kind of goes into this a little bit. This will kind of set things up for the discussion. And Hope you guys enjoy it. But this is exactly what we're going to be talking about. So here we go. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803 to 1882, was a central figure in the 19th century American transcendentalist movement. A prolific poet, essayist, lecturer, and philosopher, he was also an advocate for the social reform of abolitionism. Emerson's poems and writings reflected his philosophical beliefs about the human soul, nature's beauty and power, and the spiritual journey. His essay, The Oversoul, explores the idea of a spiritual unity that transcends individual existence. Emerson suggests that there is a divine presence within each person, which he calls the Oversoul, that connects all living beings to one another and to the universe as a whole. The Oversoul is a powerful meditation on the nature of consciousness and on the potential of human beings to connect with something greater than themselves. He argues that the experience of this transcendent unity can inspire feelings of awe, wonder, and spiritual insight, and that it can help to foster a deeper sense of compassion and interconnectedness. Most of us are unaware of this purpose and function. It is our understanding that the soul enters the earth plane and its infinite and eternal knowledge and awareness is cleared, allowing the new soul to discover itself and its new beginnings with a clean slate or canvas. The Oversoul is our purest form. It casts, along with Source, the individual soul that is you. The higher mind, which is also a large part of you, connects us to the higher realm and assists us in our human experience. The higher mind is the compass and the constant companion in our earthly experience, aiding us in our daily lives with insight and knowledge of parallel lives. Many of us simply do not have this awareness, including our place in the higher realms. When we grow and expand our understanding of ourselves, learning self-love and spiritual oneness. So tonight, we will be exploring the structure of the Oversoul, higher mind, destiny, and the playing field, and the physical reality in which we play the game called life. We will also explore the collective individual agreements and levels of consciousness, as well as collective agreements that becomes the rules of our experience. Many of us continue to live out our daily lives not understanding who we truly are. Now, let's discuss this in further detail. Yeah, let's discuss.
Let's discuss it.
So what I've done is I put together a chart, and I think the chart's going to help a lot. We all start out, let me go ahead and add this. We all start out as a part of an oversoul. And the oversoul is an energy that has been around for a very long time, has amassed a lot of energy, knowledge, wisdom. The oversoul works with the source, the infinite universe, because love is intelligence. This is where the oversoul comes from. So when you look at the chart, the individual souls are connected to the oversoul. They're actually created through the oversoul and through source itself. And each individual soul becomes a player in the game called life. You also have a higher mind who is the actual game player behind it. So that higher aspect of yourself is helping you to discover who you are, who you're going to be. They know the whole game plan. They know exactly the strategy that the individual soul will want to do when they come into life. And then when the individual soul drops down into the physical reality, there is the temporal blueprint for the physical mind that is created along with the higher mind and the oversoul and the soul itself, which creates a path of destiny here. And just like Jasmine was talking about on the Enneagram show, this is where all your templates, all the things that you want to experience as a human being, the people that are going to be in your life, the highs and lows of what you're going to experience, how life is going to unfold for you. So the game board really is the physical experience and your personality and the ego. And then the rules are the collective individual agreements, those agreements that we have with others before we come in. Some of us have agreements that are very challenging. You might come in with disabilities. You might come in with someone who treats you badly. You might have a family that you're born into that it is probably not your most preferred. But remember, when you came into this physical environment as an individual soul, you have already made your blueprint and plan before you came here for all of the lessons that you're going to learn as a physical being. So you want to, sometimes you ask yourself, and I asked myself this question too when I was dealing with my guide, why would I ever choose any of this? I just had a really hard time with that. Jasmine, do you have a hard time with that as well? You want to?
Yeah, Teresa and I had like our own little deep dive about this when she told me the topic.
Okay.
And I was thinking like, because, me being overly logical, I'm like, why would anybody choose pain? Like logically, like if you could get to the same goal, or maybe it's because you can't get to that goal without going through the muck, without having that contrast. Because I was talking to Teresa and I was just like, because the foundation of that argument comes from this person that I was talking to, and they said, I don't think a child would ever choose to go through pain or go through that kind of trauma. Like, who would ever choose to go through that kind of trauma, right? Like that, you can't put that kind of responsibility on a kid. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, but we're not. When you're talking about like the oversoul, it's like we don't start off as kids. We're not children when we're picking our experience as a child. We're picking it with a sound mind, so that way we can figure out how to expand. So then I was talking to Teresa, I'm like, is expansion just the goal? Like, is that the goal? What is there to do? And so yeah, I wouldn't say it was like a super difficult time. I just know that that's like a popular
mindset.
Yes, it is, because it's like everybody wants to live a happy life. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to have a house, our basic necessities met. It's not an uncommon thing, but I think it's the dark truth that we picked a villain, and that villain agreed to be our villain. And that's the hard pill to swallow, is that,
like, why would I ever choose this? I can't believe I chose this.
Yeah, but then them doing like, okay, in order for there to be lessons, right, there has to be a villain. In order for the Bible to make sense, there has to be a Lucifer. In order for light and dark to make sense, the contrast has to exist.
Duality.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So it's just how you play the game, right? Or how you want to experience life. All of that stuff just comes into the collective. So
yeah.
Yeah. Brian, how about you? What say you on that? Any insight?
Oh, you're muted, Brian.
He's got it.
I agree with Jasmine. I mean, we come in, on a contract to experience a lot of shit, but that's what helps our spirit grow. And the thing is, we play a villain part sometime in our life too. I have an ex-friend. We lost a friendship over a $1 bet at a poker game. And to him, the reason why I was upset is because the way he went about the whole thing, not actually saying something that night, but calling me 3 days later and saying something. And I said, well, why didn't you say something that night? He's like, because I wanted him to hang himself. So to me, that made it all about him, where I got pissed about it. So a week later I said so. I was like, I introduced you to some friends and you ruined a poker game within 6 months. And man, he called me up 2 days later, cussing me up one side, down the other side, never want to talk to me again. I betrayed him. So to me, I actually really didn't feel like I betrayed him. I wasn't taking that guy's side. I was just mad about the way he went about the whole situation. So there was a contract between me and him that where he felt the betrayal of a friend and lost friendship over. So even though I wasn't a bad person about it, I was still playing the bad role for that situation for him to feel that. So, you know, and there's people that will come into our lives that will do that, that will cause that betrayal, you know, our trust in them. And then it's all lessons.
Well, that's true to a degree, but I do agree with Mary here. She says, not everything that happens to us is a lesson for us. Sometimes we agree to come here and play a role in other people's lessons. Excellent comment, because that's very true. We have pre-birth agreements with each other, and sometimes the hardest lessons, or the people that really get our goat the most, are the ones that we get along with and love the most in the etheric realms, because they have the strength to come in and play that part for you. And you know, and if everything was all peachy keen and, you know, life is just wonderful, where's the growth in that? There isn't any. So it's very important that the harder your life is, the more lessons, the more soul agreements you have, the more that's going on in your life, the more that soul's going to take away. Because when we leave the physical body, all we have are experiences and the knowledge of what we went through. That's what you take with you. You can't take anything physical. You can't take your money. You can't take your body, but you can take what you've learned, what you've experienced with others. And that's really the key point here. And that is the purpose of the individual soul that is a part of the oversoul, the highest aspect of yourself, that the part of you that gets the energy to be who you are going to be uniquely as an individual.
Right.
And that's important to understand. Physical reality is created so that we have a game board, a way to play it out with each other. Because in the etheric realms, we're all connected through the oversoul, the souls. But when we're on Earth, we're separate and we're individuals. We're here to learn how to be an individual. We take that back to the collective oversoul, and the oversoul takes that and takes it back to source, so that source can know itself in so many different ways. You have a comment, Teresa? I'm sorry, your hand keeps disappearing.
Does it disappear? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead.
This hand will be better, probably.
All right, there you go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, to add on to what Mary was saying here, imagine yourself walking through a park and you're going to play a game of chess with 10 different people on 10 different chess boards. So it's your move on the first board and you're moving your queen. But then you get to the second game board with a different person and you're moving your rook or you're moving your knight. So you look at this and master chess players will win all 10 of those games, when they're playing different roles on different game boards.
Every game of chess is different, isn't it?
Every game of chess is different. And since we're unique reflections of these individual souls that the oversoul has created, reflections of itself and therefore of source creation, if you believe in a source creator, they're having different experiences on different game boards, but we're also playing with each other. So my dad had a role to play on my game board, and apparently I had a role to play on his. And so sometimes we cross over or have an experience with another soul, another aspect of ourself, or another soul family member within the oversoul community that has agreed. Now imagine this, if you will. Imagine the conversations. Okay, well, if I'm going to agree to do that to you, which is like, I don't know why. Okay, you want to experience that? Fine. Then you're going to experience this with me. And it might not be in this lifetime. It might be another lifetime. So it's really important to understand what's going on with incarnations and multiple. If you don't have a sense of multiple realities, or that you're more than just a human, some people can just barely get to the fact that they're also soul. They're also a reflection of something, and it's all within, yes, but it's also without. So you exist in two different realms, if you will, of existence as a body, the physical and the spiritual. And people can barely grasp that, let alone multi-dimensions or the concept of an oversoul.
Right.
But the oversoul is really, as Lori and I have learned, our future self. Now think about it. How can something that's in the future create something if it hasn't been created itself yet? That's the paradox.
Parallel lifetimes that are all happening at the same time.
Right.
I don't think I'll refer to it as past lives anymore, because it really isn't. It's concurrent parallel lifetimes. Beloved Abstract, I'm seeing your comments in the string there. And what I want to say to you is everyone has their own truth, and no one is trying to make this about this is the absolute truth. This is our understanding of what we've learned as a soul, learning about itself. So this is our understanding. We're not saying it's the only understanding out there. I know you have your own personal belief, and I respect that greatly. So I just want you to know that. This is our truth. And Teresa and I are in tandem with this, because a lot of this we learned together. So it is what it is. Anyway, we're sharing that. So appreciate you. Love for you. But go ahead.
All
Teresa.
I was just saying is that the past, the present, and the future are really all one. It's just now. And as we move through what we created as time, to be able to slow down. Everything is everywhere all at once. Spirit communicates so much information at one time. When I'm communicating with Spirit, it's like, spoon feed me, please, because you're giving me so much information. You're blowing my mind at one time. So that's what it would be like for a human. I know this because I've experienced some of that myself. So understanding that time is just a human concept to try to slow things down so that you can navigate through life in a certain way. But at a higher frequency of vibration of that energy state that we truly are as energy beings, we have all of our collective experiences and all of the knowledge that we've gained through every experimentation, every game board, every game that's played. That information is constantly transmitted back to the Oversoul, who holds it all together, holds that record together. And then those aspects of ourselves can communicate that to the Oversoul, and the Oversoul goes, okay, so the next game board's going to be configured a little bit differently. Because you have just said you felt like you passed this, or you failed that, or you still have something to tweak, and you want to experience it again, but in a slightly different way, with a slightly different group of souls. We'll give you that. We'll create another game board for you to play. And this time you can be feminine, or you can be masculine. So that's kind of what this diagram is showing.
Right. Nick, you just made a comment. I'm going to pull this up, and I'd like you to elaborate on it if you would. You're responding to Beloved Abstract's interesting comments there. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. So the difference between truth and true is truth. Think of like truth as a fragment of sorts. It's a perspective, but that doesn't see the whole picture. It's like a fragment.
Right.
But does that mean it's false or a lie? Not necessarily. It's just you need to collect the other puzzle pieces. And once you find them all, then you actually get to what is true. So I was trying to explain abstract, like what he's saying isn't incorrect. But what you guys are also saying isn't incorrect.
What is true today might not be true tomorrow.
Exactly.
You learn something new.
It's a perspective. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Combining different perspectives is what gets you to what is actually real, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So let's get into the collective individual agreement. So, as a group, all of us that are here and attracted to the show, come in and watch it. We all chose to be here at the same time, and we are all part of a collective energy in the etheric realms coming together to experience this great shift and the shift in consciousness, which has been a very short time that people have been this so aware of themselves, which is fascinating to me because we're talking thousands upon thousands of years of, that hunter-gatherer just trying to, live and survive and not able to really go deep into this. And I think the virus taught us how to kind of go inside ourselves. It allowed us the time to really reflect on, is this what I really want in my life? And, it's just interesting how that all plays together. So we all collectively had an agreement to be here. There's also many different levels of consciousness and collective agreements with those as well. The oversoul has collective agreements with other oversouls and source, which is fascinating to me. The higher mind, the more advanced aspect of yourself and the oversoul comes in and helps play that part to help guide you. It never leaves you. It comes in. It holds your hand through the whole thing called life. And as you go through it, and that little voice in your head, sometimes you hear, go left, don't go right, do this, don't do that. It's only there to help you, and it is a positive thing and a positive aspect of yourself to try to keep you on track. And that's that path of destiny that the higher mind plays.
Yeah. Well, the higher mind is the strategist. It sets up that game board with the template for the different souls to come into the physical reality. But the collective agreements are I view them as the parameters for operating in the physical construct. So in the earth plane, we have gravity, as you have it written down here. We eat, we sleep.
Yep.
Gravity is part of that.
Yep.
Physical operating instructions, if you will, for the game environment.
Yes.
You have to sleep, you have to eat, you have to drink. You have to be born through a human. But then on the individual level, the individual playing piece, which is your personality, your qualities, you're the one actually playing the game, and you're the one with the free will choices to decide how you're going to play your role in that game.
It's not set in stone. It's just a guideline, a template.
Right.
That can change, just like when an architect constructs a building. Things shift and move and change. Oh, we can't do this. We have to do that. Your life is the same. It's not, it's not like it's handwritten out and it's followed to the T. You have your free will to make your choices and changes in your lifetime. But really, the purpose of being a physical being and an individual soul is to learn your individuality and to learn your own truth and to come into an understanding of who you truly are, even under the veil of forgetfulness. And I think that's really important to remember. Yeah.
Well, I think it's also important to remember that as you navigate the game, whether it's like a Chinese checker or chess or even video game, whatever, once you understand your role and what your strength and all that internal examination of who you really are and what turns you on, what turns you off, things you prefer, things you don't, the way you respond to situations, you become an adept game player. And I was telling, I think it was Nick, I left a message for her just saying I was so frustrated. I was stuck on a game level for 2 years.
Yeah.
The same game. I could not get past the spider in the laboratory. And I just, no matter what I did, I kept repeating cycles, or I would make slight changes trying to find a way out of that room. And the more I fought it and the more I got frustrated about it, the more I got stuck in that game cycle and couldn't make movement. I couldn't get to the next level until I just let it go. And one day I was just sitting there fidgeting like, yeah, right, and it just happened. I found a way out and I advanced after that. So resistance is a big part of it, but you can better understand other people's roles in your game too, right, Lori? So that's what really brought about this conversation tonight, was both of us recognized we've been focusing on ourselves and playing our game and understanding our roles and relationships to others. But it's how you view others on your game board and their values as to how you capture that piece or move that piece or to help you move forward. And so seeing and recognizing, one, you had an agreement with them for them to play that role of the knight or the rook or the bishop. And you also have the opportunity through your own free will choices to decide how to move around them. But then all of a sudden a light bulb went off in my head. I've been viewing a person I'm very close to that I live with in a very different way than I should be. Than I could be. And so I've actually been in a cycle in a game with that person, not truly understanding their role in this scenario. This diagram helped me understand who they really are. And I can view them completely differently now and see that they're a valuable game piece. I no longer have to feel like I want to choke them. And other people, I used to feel a certain way about someone, and I used to think, oh, I just hope you just burn in hell for what you did. I don't have to do that anymore with that person, because that person to me loved me enough to agree to provide me with the experience that I asked them to come here to do.
Yeah, and that's the forgiveness thing. So it's not necessarily you needing to for them to know that you forgive them. It's about within yourself knowing,
letting it
go, forgiving it, understanding the purpose of it, why you chose to be in it.
Yeah.
Everything has a stint. It runs for an X amount of time, and then it completes and finishes. Every relationship, there's a beginning, middle, and an end. A reason, a season, or a lifetime. And nothing is forever except your infinite ability to be consciously aware of yourself and your experiences that you go through.
I came up with a mantra for it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Which is?
Thank you for the experience. I accept that our agreement has now been fulfilled. I now release all anxiety, anger, fear, and yearnings for revenge. I realize now that this lesson prepared me for, I realize what this lesson prepared me for in life. There's no blame. There's no guilt. There's no sorrow. There's no more shame. Thank you for loving me and honoring our agreement. I love you always and forever.
And that's very freeing for you. And it doesn't need the other party to be involved in it. It just means you release that energy. Yeah.
I'm not doing it to make them feel good. And I'm not doing it to help that. Well, in a way, I'm helping them release, because a lot of times, we've talked about it on this program before, when someone passes on and you still haven't worked things out with them, and you're holding on to this belief system that they were here to destroy my life, or that my life could have been so much better had it not been for, or I'm the way I am because this person made me this way, So instead of having that as a tether to their soul when they pass on, which keeps them from moving, it kind of keeps spirit in check and keeps them from moving and expanding in the way they need to on the other side. And so we're supposed to, practice forgiveness and let them go. Well, now I don't see it as forgiveness anymore.
Right.
I see it as a natural release of a breaking of the chain.
And it was your destiny, your template, your blueprint to have that with your brother, so that you could learn those lessons, so it could trigger you into something new and to develop that.
Right.
And your free will that allows you to choose whether you're going to choose it positively or negatively. How are you going to play that game?
Yeah.
What what is your strategy going to be? But that the free will and the path of destiny really come together as a whole to create that for you, that experience, which is interesting. So it's fascinating to share this information, because it really does help you understand why. I mean, we all sat there and asked, why are we here? What is life all about? And, you have strong feelings about it. But when you come to understand that the universe is intelligence, and it's pure love, and it's all working in the background for your you as the gamer to experience itself in every single way you possibly can. And that's fascinating to me. And I find it very interesting. And so wanted to share that with you folks.
Just one more thing before
Sure.
we do want to hear from the others too here.
Mm-hmm.
People can shift, and now you know how this is set up. And you can see the ability to play multiple games with different aspects of yourself on different game boards.
Mm-hmm.
That allows you to shift between realities in such a way that you can gain knowledge from another aspect of you or another soul presence in a different dimension, because as you see a situation or a scenario, you can I actually shifted between different realities the other day and didn't even realize that that's what I was doing until I sat down and looked at this and went, oh my God, I see what I did for 24 hours. I lived in an older, what I perceived to be a previous experience of mine, a pattern that I used to have when I was in my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
That was a different time, a different chapter, even though this is the same lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
It was a different part of my journey.
Yeah.
And so when you get triggered by something and it takes you back into an old pattern, you're really shifting reality and going, hey, wait a minute, what am I doing in this reality? This isn't mine now anymore.
Yeah.
Why did I just shift back into that?
And that gets into the seasons. So let me share this slide with you really quick. I'm going to take this off of here. So we, as human beings, we go through different stages of human life. So infancy is from 1 to 2 years old. Then you become a toddler, 2 to 4. Then your early school age, 5 to 7 years. Then middle school, 8 to 12 years. Early adolescence, 13 to 17 years. Later adolescence, 18 to 25. Early adulthood, 25 to 30. Middle adulthood, 30 to 50. And of course, later adulthood, 50 and up. So you are constantly changing, constantly becoming something new every moment that you're here on earth, and you're always changing. But these stages of being a human being is part of it. And just as you, the human being, are experiencing this, so are the etheric realms, and the oversoul is doing the same exact thing, just on a different level. And that I found fascinating. Also, I love this quote from Shakespeare, and thank you for adding this, Teresa. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. And that's what we just discussed on this slide of the 7 stages of human life. It's fascinating. Also, I've really been enjoying Ralph Waldo Emerson. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference, that you have lived and lived well. And it's really about serving others. And we do. We all do that as a collective group. We're all serving each other's needs. Any opinions on that, Grandpa Brian? And check your mute.
Yep. Getting back to Teresa. Okay. You were playing the game, and you kept playing that game. Only when you became the observer of that game did you realize what was going on. So a lot of us A lot of people, they keep playing the game, but they never observe what is going on. When you become, when you become the observer, that's when you realize the lesson, the contract that you had. And then now you can, like you said, you healed that, you broke that contract, you ended that contract with that person. So it's only when you become the observer is when you're able to do that. Otherwise, you would have kept playing the game and kept playing the game and kept playing the game.
Well, you know why that is? It's because we live in the emotional. We live in the emotion.
That's true.
What something like this allows us to do is not to become cold-hearted SOBs. That's not what I'm saying. But to be an objective evaluator in such a way that you're not feeding the emotions and the ego.
Yep.
And so you're controlling your own response to the situation, that you can step back and to be more of an observer. And Jasmine's shaking her head. She knows exactly what I'm saying. Right, Jazz? Don't forget you're on mute, you and Nick.
I was just trying to be nice. But if you ever read the book Women Who Run with Wolves, she does a great, it's a great book. And then she has another one called Loving the Stone Child, or The Unmothered Child, which is also really great. But in her book, she describes these moments that you had as placing a grave marker. That doesn't mean that all of the emotion is gone, because I'm pretty sure if you sit there and you dwell on it, it's gonna hurt, because we're emotional beings. Like, that's part of our makeup, right? But to create it as a grave where you leave it in the past and it no longer has a hold on you, it no longer becomes your identity, it no longer becomes your, for lack of a better word, God. That's what you are appeasing to, is that narrative. So she describes it as, make it a grave and leave it back there. That doesn't mean you have to come back and visit the grave, but you leave it in the past, and that way you move on with who you are.
Don't dwell on it. And focus on, if you're focusing on the positive, then you're attracting the positive, because of that. Law of attraction does that as well. But that's hard for people because they're so programmed and they're so in it. I mean, they have the ancestral programming, they have the collective programming, society's version of who they think you're supposed to be. And really, you're here to be the individual you that you created before you came into this life. And the physical body is just a game piece or a tool to be able to experience it in that way. But you just take all that, all those lessons, experiences with you, and you carry that over into the higher aspects of yourself.
And I also wanted to comment on what Grandpa Brian and Therese were talking about, of like being a watcher and observer of your own life. Once you do have that skill, you are creating like a psychological distance between what you're going through and what's happening. And that allows a space to actually be able to see things like objectively, right? I had one psychologist tell me that that's kind of dangerous sometimes, because that's how people go into DID, or dissociative identities.
If they push too far away, they get too far into it. Yes,
exactly.
Balance.
Exactly.
You've got to find the balance.
But I still think it's a marvel of the mind of like people who do have DID, or dissociative identity disorder, of how powerful our minds are in keeping us safe, or how powerful we are as beings, right? To be able to have these safety measures to keep us safe, there's still so much we don't understand, but there is stuff that we do kind of get. And knowing what I know, when I was first getting into meditation, and I didn't realize about the multidimensionals. I knew some multidimensional stuff because of Marvel, and like, Doctor Strange. I knew something, not a whole lot. But I had this one meditation where, and it was with Sophia, and Sophia was saying, I call back my energies from all corners of the earth, from everywhere, right? And in my meditation, I literally saw like different me's. Like there was one coming up from like a spiral staircase, like from the bottom. There was one coming like from the left. Like there was just tons of different me's coming back to center.
Yes,
and I was just like, what in the world is this? This is well, what? And then it was weird because like they weren't all dressed the same. They didn't all have like the same, you know what I mean? But it was it still felt like the same Jasmine. And then so then I explained it to her, and she's like, you just, because from what she said, because she was guiding the meditation, it guided me to pull all of that together. So which I thought was super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like looking in a mirror of yourself, looking in a mirror of yourself, looking in a mirror of yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah, reflections.
But however, it's really, because of the different kind of clothing and the hairstyles and slightly different, you might be thinner in one and heavier in another. When you start seeing those kinds of differences, that you're seeing the different aspects or qualities of different dimensions that you.
Yeah, Scotty Boy made a comment here, and I wanted to talk about this. My mom was the queen of guilt tripping.
Oh, your mama be my mama.
Guilt. That is something. Isn't guilt something?
That's my brother from a different mother.
Yeah, when you get to a point, and that's hard when you're a kid, because with your parent, you want to be loved and admired by your parent. You want acceptance from your parent, and when they're throwing the guilt trip on you, that's hard, and it's hard to understand that at the time because you're so busy being young and trying to figure out who you are. But the guilt trip is really coming from your mom. It's her insecurities and things that she's going through, and the guilt trip that was laid on her that perpetuates that treatment of you. And so you have to learn to kind of like a duck, let it roll off your back. And not get triggered by it. But you can't, when you're a kid, that's very difficult to do because you're not emotionally mature enough to handle that.
Right.
But you will become an adult and you will have choices and you can make that decision. Well, that's just mom, isn't it? And that may never change. It might take lifetimes to get past that. But thanks, Scotty. That was I really like how that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Go ahead, Teresa.
No. It's like there was this program that Lori and I watch of another psychic couple. They
Liz and Lady O.
Liz and Lady O. And there was this
psychic
woman.
Channeler.
Yeah,
and she's an intuitive healer as well. Great people. I resonate with them very much. I don't know if anybody watches them, but Riz and Lady O.
Yeah, they're a great team. And anyway, they had and I was sharing it with Jasmine, and I asked her to share it with Nick too. So I don't know. I had them both on one night. We were going down these rabbit holes together, but they're not rabbit holes. Anyway, I learned a lot from that conversation with Jazz. I really enjoyed that conversation, Jazz, and Nick. And I knew you were sharing it with them. But this one woman in the chat room asked a question. She said to the psychic medium, "Tell me something. Why is it that when I try to reach out to the spirit of this person, I don't know if it was an uncle, it was a relative of some kind, he just will not answer me like the other spirits. I can't seem to make contact with this guy. And no matter how hard I try, he's just not responding to me. Is it because he doesn't give a crap about me? Because, that would be apropos because he never gave a crap about me when he was alive either. He neglected me, ignored me." And the psychic medium goes, "Oh, no, wait a minute. Ho. The roles that we play when we come into the physical and the agreements that we make and the game board that we play, we have a certain personality and behavior that you asked us to have. We provided you with the gaming experience that you asked for."
Right. I mean, correct.
When you cross over and you get into behind the veil, you get behind the veil, you've moved on to something else. So you're no longer that personality. So to assume that anything on the other side of the veil feels a certain way about you because the way they acted with you and exchanged with you when they were alive, they're going to be very different when you cross over and meet them on the other side because they're just an aspect of that energy. That is very freeing. I found that to be an aha moment when she said that, because even though intuitively I kind of felt that, I wasn't feeling it 100% because I was still holding on to some baggage about some certain people. And the psychic medium went on to say, what if this person did horrible things to you? You know, are you going to wish that they were dead and died? That they would be eternally tortured for the rest of their lives? People feel that way about certain situations and certain people that they've experienced in this lifetime.
Yep.
So it stands to reason that you're holding that inside.
Yep.
That doesn't really work for you sometimes.
Yeah. How's that working out for you?
How's that working out for you to feel? So this was very freeing because I'm like, oh wow, that's right. It was a soul agreement. They did. There's nothing for me to be angry with. I don't have to feel that way about them anymore.
No, you can choose not to.
So how was your response to that, Jasmine? How did you?
It was really crazy because, like, once I thought of it, like, okay, they chose, like, we basically were writing a script together. That there was this other book, this lady that when she had a near-death experience, she talked about how the souls come together and they chit-chat about what they want to do when they come to life, and they come and they sit at a big table. I have to figure out what book it is, but basically it's like we're all choosing to be part of this play, and we get to choose who we cast, and we casted them as that
in that role. Yeah.
And so it is freeing, but I think the reason why they agree is because there's a lesson for them too, right?
Yeah.
There's a lesson for us. And I sat there and I thought about it. I'm like, what? Because to me, logical, right?
They get,
there has to be a reason, right?
Yeah.
What is this? To be. To exist. I'm like, what is it? Now I'm learning that, like, it is to be present. You know what I mean? Like the moment that we have, like now here, like this is what's real. Everything else is the past. Is the past. The future is the future. The future is always changing. Like the only thing that is
the Earth plane is the only place in the universe that has constructed a level of keeping time, past, present, future, that in the universe itself, there is no time. There's just always now. You're always in the now moment. And that's hard for us because, you know, we need time to know that, well, on 5 o'clock, I'm going to be getting off work, or 9 o'clock, I have to be at work, or I'm meeting so-and-so at this time. That is a construct, a human construct that is made. And it's not, it doesn't work that way in the universe.
Mary Mansfield.
I got it. I was just working my way up to it.
I love it.
Too damn quick there, Teresa.
I'm sorry, but I saw it and I laughed.
Mary Mansfield says, Mary, I would love to get you on the show sometime. That would be great. If you would ever love to, I would just enjoy that. While I can intellectually grasp the idea that I chose all this, I still can't help but think occasionally that pre-birth me needs her butt kicked for agreeing to this stuff. I'm just saying. And I love that. Yes, indeed.
Oh, yeah. It was a hard pill to swallow to be like, I did this to me?
Right.
Jojo.
Go ahead, Nick.
Jojo. Go ahead, Nick.
Sorry, Jazz. It's not often he puts his hand up, so I want to get right to him. So go for it, Nick.
So, due to our limitations of knowing what we agreed to, the script isn't always still what it is when we first made it before we were born.
Right.
Sometimes people don't step up to the role that they play.
Yep.
So you have to improvise.
Sure. You could come in with that pre-birth plan and shoot it all to hell. You certainly can, because that's your free will choice. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's not just,
what a waste of time, right? And energy, don't you think?
Yeah. It's not just your choice either, though. It's everyone else that's involved. They can also throw in the towel or do something really asinine or ignorant to where they would have to get benched. And then the whole script just gets changed. And then, so, backstage is going, oh my God, what do we do? We need to fill this role. Eventually they'll find someone else to fill the role. So
or you'll make different choices and you'll follow a different timeline or a different path. And then that has its own creation. And then that It just doesn't matter what you choose or what's going on. You're going to follow the path that you're going to follow. So whatever's happening in your now, whatever you choose in each and every moment is going to create the future for you.
Yep.
Right
Yeah,
on.
Agreed. No
matter how good of a planner you are, there's always that human variable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still grinning over
Plan A, Plan B, Plan
Yeah.
C, Plan D, Plan E.
Let go of the expectations and enjoy the show.
Yes.
That's right. Exactly.
Popcorn.
Enjoy the show. I'm still laughing over what Mary said, because I had this conversation about 2-3 years ago with our sister Marcia Price, who, by the way, has had some Facebook issues lately. She got scammed and she's trying to reestablish some of her communications. So if you're having a hard time getting a hold of her, hang in there. We'll keep you posted. But anyway, she came in. We were going to do a show about how sometimes people feel like they're on a prison planet kind of concept thing. And this model that we're showing you here is kind of a way of seeing around that from a different perspective. You're not trapped here. You created it, right? So, but I'll never forget, if I could, Marcia, forgive me, but I just love Marcia. She said, well, now, will you mind telling me why anybody in their damn right mind would be so stupid as to agree to all this? I can't believe anybody would feel that stupid to come down here on this planet and have someone do some stuff to them like that. And I'm like, I couldn't understand where she was coming from at first. And then I realized, oh my gosh, that's the way I've been treating someone who was very close to me. That I couldn't possibly have created this, that God did this to me. And so I hate this person for being this way, because God made this happen. And so I could see that would be, has been the template of understanding that many, many people have had throughout the ages. And I think that the adepts, especially someone like Jesus, who came along to teach the kingdom of heaven is within, was trying to teach this exact same, from an esoteric perspective, people now, not a Christian thing, but he was trying to get people to see, you are the master of your own destiny. I'm going to show you the way through the path to get to the light and the love, but you've got to let go and release. Now, he didn't talk about incarnation at the time, or people didn't record him talking about the concept of incarnation, because I think by that time in man's consciousness, that particular group of people had let go of the concepts of incarnation, but the Egyptians still did believe in it, and so did other societies, the Greeks. So, but he was trying to teach you that if you perceive everything as a trap, or you perceive that somebody created something for you and plays with you, like your game, a game piece that they're moving around, it's not a they. There's no controller. You are the controller of your game. The oversoul is part of you. That's your oversoul.
And the higher self helps
the
guide.
Higher mind.
You create the agreements. You create the plan. They're the ones who've gone through it and have many lifetimes under their belt, and they're going to tell you, hey, be careful, you might want to maybe not put so much on your plate this time, or you might want to rethink that. But ultimately it's up to you 100%. That's on you. And yes, Robert, this is what we're talking about. Do you write the script, or is our higher self guiding us on the script we are playing? I guess it is something we will never know. No. In my mind, you've lived and died many times. You've understood this and then you forgot. You've understood this and then you forgot. That higher self is there to assist you, to kind of help you stay on track. But you are a sovereign being. As a soul, you're the sovereign being. You created this. And with the help of others, they are like a counselor. They're not telling you how you're going to live your life. You're not being controlled by anything outside of you. You are the sovereign being. You create your now. You create it before you come in here. You create it while you're here, and you create it after you leave here. That's my understanding of it.
He says, if only there was a direct line to the other side so we could ask questions and get answers, but we would have to be smart enough to understand
But there
the answer.
is, and that's what we've been doing. This is exactly what we're doing.
I wouldn't say smart is the right word. Like, as
Mhm.
I like to lead with intellect, right? I value
Yes.
thinking. But my soul journey, right, or my spiritual journey has led me to the understanding when I'm looking for direction, right, and I am at a crossroads of choosing A or B, there is something that is inside of me that I can't explain, but has saved me countless of times.
Yes.
Of where I've chosen a right path.
It's a
right?
big
yes, that I logically can't explain what that is. I know scientifically, like my body probably picked up on some body language, some tense flexion, some word structures. There's all these things that I have dove into because I want to know what that is, right? What is that gut instinct? What is that intuition? What is all this magic thing that people are saying that they lead them? But the more I sit with my guides and the more I just observe and listen, it's more of a feeling. It's more of a sensation of this or that.
So subtle, isn't it?
It is.
It's a subtle energy, and it's always positive. It is never negative. And if you ever pick up anything negative, that's either your ego or something outside of you trying to influence you. Spirit will always tell you a positive. They will always show you love. Anything outside of that, don't trust it. Your discernment kicks in. Really think about that. If you think you're communicating with spirit somehow, whether you're using a pendulum or you're psychic or whatever, I guarantee you, psychics will, they'll never, spirit will never lie to you. It will always be truthful, and it'll always come from a loving space. Anything outside of that, use your discernment and kick it to the curb. Tell them you're a sovereign being. You're not up for that.
That's
and you're going to throw it right out. Just toss it out. Kick it to the curb.
At the end of the day, the only person that you can control is yourself. And I feel like when we get stuck in the game and we're thinking about like these players and we're like, why are they doing this to me? Why are they acting this way? Blah, blah, blah. And we have to remember that they have their own free will. They have their own rights. They're learning on their own time. They're going through their own things, I can't control them understanding what they're doing, you know what I mean? But I can control myself. I can control my own perspective.
That's right. You can control your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You can control how you're going to react to something. You can allow it to bother you, or you cannot allow it to bother you. I'm actually really good at it now. I can just let things roll off. Kind of like, beloved abstract, I love to use you as an example. Ego, everything is about ego.
Well, he's asking, who is this you that is a sovereign being? He's done this before. But I think I know. I think he views, I see a humanoid, physical, flesh and bones and blood being. Okay, just as I see an animal or a snake or a bug or whatever, it's the entity, the vessel that carries our soul. And so the soul is another being, but it's a non-physical, non-corporeal being. Ego could be the human, because when we talk about the human mind and the human brain, that's what ego is attached to.
Yeah.
So when you do say, who is this you that is a sovereign being? The sovereign part is the spiritual aspect of me.
Exactly.
My flesh is just a vessel. And so it carries that soul while that soul is having the experiences. Yeah, it's like a vehicle.
The soul.
Yeah, while I'm having the experience. But once this flesh returns to the earth as dust or whatever it is, bag of bones, my spirit moves on. It lives on. So the sovereign being, when we talk about what Lori and I mean anyway, I can't talk about everybody else, but like us, there are like-minded people like Lori and I, and members of this panel. When we talk about our sovereignty, we're not talking about the sovereignty of the ego attached to the human brain and mind. We're talking about the higher spiritual mind of our soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one that's connected with source.
Correct.
Our higher
Right.
self is still connected to that source. And
Right.
it's that source whispers that we call intuition. And we have to kind of set our ego aside to be able to listen to it, because when we lead with ego, we want to lead with our intellect, lead with what we know in these physical bodies, because that's what we know. But the only reason we are in these physical bodies is because we're on Earth, because we chose to be here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I appreciate that aspect. Yep. And perspective. You got it. Well, anyway, hopefully it gives everybody something to think about, or a new paradigm, or a way to shift it and look at it. But we are part of the great shift, and this is what's going on. And we're here to learn about ourselves. And the more we learn about ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
the more as a society and as a collective, we can change the earth, because many of us will come back. And don't you want to create the earth that you want to come back to be a better place, to have evolved and not be so
I just want
hard?
to be an earth where everybody is experiencing the best of life. You know what I mean? Where I can go to Grandpa Brian's place and go chill out on the deck and be with Luna and have this great food and be there with Nick and hopefully Teresa and Lori. Like, I want this to be like the ultimate vacation reality, if that makes sense.
Well, for an hour and a half every week, it is.
Yeah.
Can we just get back to Nick? I want to make sure he
Yes.
gets some time here, because
Sure.
he's like, I am the game player. Wait for me. So
Yeah.
I want to hear Nick's perspectives on all
Sure.
this.
Let's hear it, Nick.
He's been the oracle tonight. So what's up, Nick?
Oh man, I'm a veteran at this game. To the point where Jim says I can't even leave.
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't want to leave. I like it here.
Yeah. I love it.
I mean, I like it here too. It's nice to see all my projects slowly but surely progressing. It's always nice to see. And I don't think it's doing too bad. I mean, life's chaotic, so there's always going to be those question moments like, oh my God, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
But you know, that's the end of the world scenarios have been hearsay since the world started. So I don't know. It's not really ever going to be the end, I think. Not as long as people want to play the game. The only way it's going to stop is if everyone collectively wants to stop playing. That's the paradox.
Yeah, and everyone's on different levels too.
Yep. Everyone's got something to prove. Everyone wants to
That's for
experience
sure.
something. Everyone wants to get even with something. Everyone wants to say they did it.
Yep.
Everyone wants to experience what they experienced. You know, people come back, they tell their stories, and then newer souls go, "Oh wow, that's crazy! I want to try."
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
God, that sounds like
Life.
fun.
Now put down the Game Boy if you want.
Wait till you get down there.
Yeah.
You may not feel that way, right?
Right.
So you resonated with this perspective then of of how things flow between the oversoul and the game board and the player. This analogy was there anything?
Yeah. This is all of it is a game, all of it. But the paradox of that is it's not really a game. It's very serious. So when I say game, I'm not saying we're just happy-go-lucky having fun. No,
It's serious while you're in the game, Nick.
Yeah,
Right.
It's serious when you're in it. When you're out of this game,
yeah,
you're not seeing it that way.
right.
You're not.
But when you're in the thick of it, absolutely agree with you. Yeah.
Is it Bashar said it's actually an illusion. The whole game is the illusion.
Yeah, but the whole reason why it's put that way is that you won't actually retain the lesson unless you go through that. That's why you forget. That's why you have to go through the trauma. That's why you have to go through the hardships. That's why you got to see what will make you break and go crazy or evil. And then in the same breath, you'll also see what makes you and then turns you into the righteous hero. Just depends what level you're on and what role you're playing.
Yeah.
So like everyone, there's a book that Zach showed me. It was a Buddhist book, and it kind of put it into good perspective for me. They're saying that the only difference between a psycho killer and a saint are the circumstances that they grew up in, along with the experiences that they've acquired. Which means, what that is expressing is that
We're all the
You're-
same.
yeah.
We all start the same way.
Yeah, you're no different than anyone else. So next time you're
Mm-hmm.
judging someone, I would think twice. Otherwise, the game will go, oh, that's how you feel about it? Well, now it's your turn.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Tables get
One last
turned
thing
on
I
you.
want to say about
Sure.
our, like, with Milky Way, when he was talking about our oversoul or our higher selves being like a guide. Bashar says it a lot, is
Yep.
we left like clues for ourselves to be able to go beyond the forgetting. And
Mhm.
that's what gives you the best excitement. Whatever
Yes.
excites you, whatever lights a soul, a fire in your soul, whatever gives you that passion, whatever makes you happy to be alive,
Mm-hmm.
that is one of the things that you should focus on or you should follow, because that's one of the reasons why you were here. And like
Yep.
Mary pointed out, it's not just what you're getting out of it, but it's what other people around you are getting out of it. Like these guys, like what they get, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like their
Yeah.
experience is just as important as ours, and it all kind of like meshes together for like an overall view. And then I think it's cool because it the added layer to that with like my Christian upbringing is that in the Bible it says that from the fruit of the tree that we will learn the good and the bad. And that's what expansion is that we're expanding our consciousness, we're expanding our experiences, we're expanding what it means to be human, what it means to have a soul, what it means to be part of a collective, what it means to be an individual, all of these different aspects is part of that expansion, and it's part of that creation, and it's also part of that destruction. And it's all a beautiful symphony, or you can see it as a chaos, but whatever it is, it's whatever makes you alive.
A couple questions here. I want to, Dolly Belfour is asking, is there such a thing as a young soul? Yes, there is. In actuality, we were all created at the same time, but we all have different levels of learning. And that's why some are considered a younger soul as opposed to a more wiser soul. It's how much you've absorbed and learned in the lifetimes and experiences that you've had. So it's not, that's how I understand it through my guide. Also, Steve is asking, do souls have a beginning? There is no beginning and there is no end. They're just you just exist.
Because you're a reflection of source, right?
Well, often you don't understand there was no before. You've always been, and you always
because why? Because source always existed.
Yes.
And we are a reflection of source.
Correct. And we're infinite beings.
So when religion talks about the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end, they're enclosed or encapsulated in the consciousness of the time continuum that we created to experience this reality. So they talk about the alpha and the omega, but the point is that so the Big Bang, what they call it, Big Bang, that predates existence, because how does source exist?
Nick?
Okay, so I would like to explain the old and new thing. So old and new, you gotta remember those concepts are based on perspective.
Yep.
So when we say new soul, when I say new soul, I am referring to someone who doesn't have a lot of experience in Earth.
Right.
So for example, maybe that soul doesn't have a lot of experience in Earth, so that makes them a new soul here. But say we go into another life and we experience being Nocturians. They have thousands and thousands of years of experience in being a Nocturian, while I only have like 10. Then I would be considered the new soul at that point. Well, there's the old soul.
Good point.
Yep, excellent.
Point. Yep.
The best way I love to describe it, since I literally see it as a game, is I think of D&D. Like, there's a reason why the Egyptians knew how to play D&D. You think it started in Egyptian? No. It didn't start in Egypt, because I remember actually making that game in a way older past life than that. I helped make it anyways. So
and what's even more mind-boggling is that you have concurrent lifetimes going on, just as when you look at the chart, and you could have hundreds of individual souls that are created from the oversoul. You could have thousands going on at the same time. You could also have an infinite number going on.
You could have an infinite number of oversouls.
Exactly. Exactly.
They have a soul family
Yeah.
they're responsible for. A
Jasmine?
reflection of themselves.
I was going to mention, we consider, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of fractals, right? So
Yeah.
like someone can have the fractal memories of Hades or the fractal memories of Persephone or whatever, right? And it's interesting because I've talked to two different Persephone fractals that say that they've shared an experience, not claiming that they are Persephone, but that they've had experiences as Persephone. And it makes sense in the diagram that you guys have, because if a being like that were to scatter themselves, right, or to implant themselves in different timelines or different beings, they would share those memories. And it's interesting because when they describe their home to me, like the garden that they were in, they describe it the same way, and I'm like, what? How do you what? So it's a very fascinating place, but I feel like where there's a lot of beauty in it too, because that oversoul is connected. They're all connected. So these different timelines, it reminds me of the movie called Arrival, and it's talked about a linguist who learns their language, and their language is in a circle. And the reason it's in a circle is because there's no beginning and no end. It just is.
Or the infinity, 8 is the same.
Exactly.
It's cyclical. It's constantly doing this. That's what you're doing as an individual soul. Yep. And someday you may become the oversoul to split souls from yourself. Yeah, that's interesting, don't you think?
Well, people in this,
you can go on to create other worlds.
People that study this model or this perception or understanding of oversoul is, and we were talking about this, about the difference between being an eternal being who for eternally just keeps going through cycles of incarnation into different aspects to learn and expand and grow, and that which is a resurrected being who finally reaches a state of being an immortal, which means they no longer have to come back in or feel like they have to come back into an incarnation, into a soul within the earth to learn more experiences. They felt like they've achieved what they set out to achieve. And remember, for them, time is different than for us. As many spirits I've contacted with and other mediums have contacted, they describe it very differently. So we're the ones that have created the rules of space and time continuum. But for them, there is no time the way we view time. So for them, they've done many, many, many lessons in many, many different flavors or ways. And so they now feel, okay, I'm done with this game. I don't want these game boards anymore for the Earth School. I'm graduated. I feel like I've
Teresa, where does the oversoul go when they've accomplished their goal?
Well, I was just getting ready to say, so they return that information, and they cross through, pass over through the veil. And my understanding is that as that energy aspect goes back to that source energy field. But I have recently come to understand it's not what I think it is. We as humans put limitations on what we think is a god or a godhead or a god figure, even source. And so we see existence as this limited pool within our solar system or maybe within our galaxy. But there are so many other universes and multiverses that science has shown us and that spirit has communicated with us about, the star seeds. And so we know we can exist in other forms, on other worlds, in other solar systems, and other multiverses. I'm not saying we've proven the physicality of another being, but we have the experience and understanding of those energies because they're documented from our early history. They're chiseled in the walls of human consciousness. So we have expressed our knowing since the get-go with the fact that there are other worlds, other energies, other beings. The planets have a soul of their own, or an essence of spirit or personality. So we can choose through our free will to go back and to just exist with the Godhead or what we consider source and just float, be Or we can go on and take all of this information and all this knowledge and create even better places or different experiences or whatever we want, wherever we want. I had a dream vision that I was creating a pink planet with someone, and the two of us together were creating this pink planet, and there were purple stripes around the pink planet, and on the planet there were entities or beings that were non-physical like humans, but they were more plasma-like. They floated across the surface of the planet. The water, which looked, I mean, I was creating an environment that reminded me of Earth, but yet not solid like Earth. So there was a transparency to everything, and there was a lot of liquid. And so pools of water were more like bowls of gelatin. So I must have a kinky gelatin thing going on. But I was creating these different things to experience, and it was just fun, and it was different, and it was light, and all the beings were full of light and love, and they were just interacting with each other differently. They were communicating telepathically. I'm only sharing this because that's how I see my future role. Once I'm finished with these game boards on Earth, and I think I pretty much am, because I have too many memories of too many vivid recollections of lives, and I feel like this was it for me. This was the final culmination. And so I may choose to either come back here as an adept, or come back here as a guide, or come back as an angelic presence, or I might decide to move on to other universes and be a co-creator or a creator. And it looks like I'm going to be a co-creator of a different environment. And we all have this ability. It's not just me. Any one of us can make that choice.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can go join a game board with a different set of rules and parameters. And that's another thing I learned while I was creating the Pink Planet, is that the laws of physics can be completely different wherever we go.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
call me someone who has an overactive imagination. You go right ahead. I know the truth. For me, my truth.
Mm-hmm. For your truth.
And that could change a year from now, or a month from now, or a week from now, or tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But what I understand right now is my truth. And so I know that I can create a different. And if I choose to go back to source, it's not that you're going back to, you're always part of source. You're just extending your energy out into a different environment. So you're always part of, you always exist. Existence is forever. And you can put limitations on that existence for certain physical realities or certain physics within a given planetary body or universe or dimension.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also be creative as heck about it. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the things that I've experienced in the past year or two with regards to my spiritual growth and development, with the remote viewing, the astral traveling, the past life memories, but I don't call them past life memories. Thank you. Mm-hmm. All of these things, all these experiences have opened me up to all the things that are possible beyond this reality and beyond this Earth school. Yeah. So that's how I see it. And when this discussion came up and we were putting together the graphic for this model, I was just like, oh my God, Lori, remember back in April of 2024, Lori and I did a show about how the soul expands. And she had a picture of a soul that looked like a Merkaba. Mm-hmm. And it had all the souls in it, just like this diagram. It showed their personalities like the enneagrams. It showed the vehicle of transport, and it was explaining how the soul travels to the earthly plane and incarnates into Earth. What we've done with that is we've expanded on that in this diagram tonight to explain what's going on behind the scenes between the oversoul and those different souls. Yeah. And how the chessboard or how the game board or whatever you want to perceive it to be, right, how it's played and how the rules are set up. And it's just so freeing. I found it to be very freeing, so that I can let go of things that I couldn't let go of before, because I didn't have the over higher mind perspective on things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, with that said, all right, Nick, go ahead.
oh, he's on mute.
He
And
found
he
it.
disappeared.
Okay. So I kind of want to add on to what Teresa was saying. So,
All right, please do.
So it's part of that game is understanding that the only limits that you have on yourself are the ones that you applied to yourself. Like she was talking about with the imagination. Like any magician worth his salt knows that it's his imagination that either gets him where he wants or is what's limiting him.
Mm-hmm.
So if your imagination isn't creative enough to get the outcome you want, then you need to think outside the box. For an example, like they were talking about with the planetary alignment stuff going on, did you waste a 400-year opportunity or did you capitalize on it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the ones who did not, the next question is, are you trying to play the magician role? If not, it doesn't matter to you.
Yeah.
If you are, you drop the ball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
direct
Yeah.
as I
And the
can.
good thing is you can always pick it back up and try again.
And 400.
Try again. Yeah.
For this one specifically, there's
Yeah.
going to be more alignments, but for this one specifically, you have to wait another 400 years. The
Yep.
reason why I'm saying that is that it's okay if you want to play in the casual lobbies. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if you start complaining about getting casual results, casual rewards,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing something wrong. I play to win. So yeah, I'm going to capitalize on every opportunity that swings my way.
Yeah.
People might think I come off as an arrogant, greedy jerk, but
Hey, Nick,
what?
how does this model, and Brian, Grandpa Brian, both of you, this diagram, this model, this perception or idea of this relate to the chaos of what's going on within huge collective game board systems like the federal government and organized religions and pharmaceutical institutions and health care institutions? How does this fit? All those players on all those game boards doing all those things.
Well, that's an MMO PvP mode right there. Everyone wants to be top dog. Everyone wants to hit big on the leaderboards. So what's that going to cause? That's going to cause conflict.
Mm-hmm. You set that up nicely, Teresa.
Yeah.
That was
It's a
nice.
competitive game. Like I said, like if you want to play casual, that's okay, but except being poor. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, so what board are we playing? We have our game board. You have yours. Jasmine has hers. Brian has his. Trump has his. What's his name in Canada? No. What's his name in Canada? I'm not talking.
No, I understand.
All these political leaders have their game board, and there are different players that they interact with within their cabinets on their game board, and the institutions and the pharmaceutical companies, they all have their game boards. Who's playing who? Where? How does this model help us understand our game?
See, this is why I like video games so much, because it literally gives a physical representation of how everything's ordered. Okay.
Yes.
So like think of like
That's why I didn't pick on Lori. I didn't want her to answer it.
Yeah.
She knows me.
think of like something like what's the game that you play, Lori, that has like tiers for competitive ranked, like Call of Duty?
Yeah, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, Avowed. Yeah. I'm playing Avowed right now,
Yeah.
and there's definitely different levels. Yep.
Yeah.
So for me, it'd be like Halo, Gears of War, stuff like that. So these are the tiers. They go bronze. Yep. This is the cookie cutter. They go bronze, silver, gold, diamond, top 500, top 200, etc. So wherever you're ranked on the leaderboards, that's the board you're playing on. Start leveling up. You start figuring things out. You grow out of that game board.
Right.
You go
Thank
up.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So
you level up. When you level up, then everything before that, it's too easy. I need more of a challenge. That's how it is.
You got your normal people. They're starting on the leaderboards, and you got people like us that are waking up, but we're still not. We're not fully ascended where we want to be yet. So we're a higher tier. Then you got the ones that know what they're doing, and Not always a magician role, by the way. You don't have to know magic to be higher on the leaderboard. Like you can be an oligarch or
but you can choose not to play on a certain board, and I know my purpose wasn't to play on those game boards. And Grandpa Brian, how about you?
I don't play a lot of games. I do play chess.
Yeah, you don't. And why do you like chess?
Because you really got to think. You got to plan moves ahead to get the objective done that you want. Yep. And there again, you're observing what they're doing, which may influence a move or two down the road what you're going to do.
Right. So this is where being the patient observer comes into play. Because you can sit back and observe the game board and everybody else's and all the pieces they're playing without getting emotionally crazy about it.
Right.
Yeah. People like us, we don't want to just play the game. We want to actually understand how it works. We want to know the rules so we can apply that
strategically.
So we know how to play the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And play it safely and comfortably.
Right. Right. That's the role of a scholar. There's three main roles in civilization. You got the scholar, philosopher, and warrior. The ones who want to get into the meat and potatoes of how the mechanics work, they tend to go scholar route. Which is why in video games, scholar is a magic class.
Right.
But you know, you don't have to be the best. You don't have to be a scholar to be the best. You got your warrior classes. Like maybe you're a top tier mercenary that everyone wants to have a contract with. I would consider that you a very successful warrior class. Just as an example.
And you have a role to play within whatever gaming board system you're playing.
Right.
It kind of takes the feeling or the drive or the need to feel a certain way about certain people, doesn't it? It just kind of just frees you from having to carry the burden.
That's a good way. Frees you from it. Free yourself.
Yeah, you free yourself from
any limitations.
Yeah, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah.
Skill issue, get better.
Or change the game.
Or change it. Yeah.
That too.
Or go freaking create a different one. Yeah. Okay.
But hey, I do want to get to something Mary said in chat earlier. She said sometimes we need to be aware enough to ask the right question to find the answer we're seeking.
Yes.
Last year, right before the morning of our retreat, this came to me and I wrote this down. What you seek is seeking you. The more in harmony you are with the flow of your own existence, the more magical life becomes.
I like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So just remember, whatever you're seeking is also seeking you.
Beautiful. Well said. I could see it on a bumper sticker. Profound. Very good. Well, listen, you guys, this has been a great show. Really a lot. It really bends the mind and twists things around and gets you thinking. Lots of opinions in the chat. Lucky Stone says, or don't hate, just enjoy the journey during the game. Yeah. Make it fun.
Thank you, Lucky. Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you all. Jasmine, Nick, thank you. Any final thoughts for you guys?
You want to go first?
For me, I feel like there is no right or wrong. It just depends on how you can play the game however you want. You know what I mean? It just depends on what feeds your soul, what makes you feel okay, what makes you feel happy with what you have. If you're not happy with your situation, happy is the word that means with happenings, right? With small happenings. You have to find the joy of what makes being alive feel amazing. So once you find that joy, it's easier to make sense of the world. So for me, I feel like I don't ever want to leave because I can find there's just so much I still want to learn. Like there's so much I still want to experience about the world. I don't think I want to be sure that when I come in through the next time that I don't have to go through the same lessons all over again. Like I feel like my overflow is learning, the less lessons I have to repeat, because it's like kind of like making like a shortcut or like a short list. I don't know if you play video games, you know that you have like your short keys or your short strokes. to be able to tap into it, because life is what you make it at the end of the day. Make it beautiful. Choose beauty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a quote here for.
Let me get to Nick real quick.
Oh, and Nick, I thought Nick just did. Go ahead, Nick.
No.
Are you good?
So, do you know why I like books so much?
Why?
They're like physical cheat codes, just handed to you on a silver platter. So, with that being said, I'm gonna recommend a book. So, it's called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn, and it basically teaches you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It basically teaches you the beginner levels of how the game works and how to start applying it, rather it applying itself onto you.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yep.
The main focal point is talking about the law of compensation, like what you give is what you get out of life. But it also teaches you like how your mindset and your imagination, how vital of a role it actually plays on your success in the game. Versus your where you're lacking in the game.
Gotcha.
So definitely read it. Highly recommend it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Teresa, you wanna?
Thank you, Nick, and I might hit you up for that if you could send it to me in Messenger. I'd appreciate it. Okay, so and also the other second book that Jasmine mentioned at the beginning of the show that lady wrote. I'd like to take a look at that.
Yes.
Let's see. See if this rings. Now, Lori, you're going to know this probably. Nothing is at last sacred, but the integrity of your own higher mind. The surface of the earth is soft and impressible by the feet of men, and so with the paths which the mind travels. So let us therefore spend one day as deliberately as nature, and not be thrown off the track by every nutshell and mosquito's wing that falls on the rails. Walden Henry David Thoreau. But he was quoting Ralph Waldo Emerson's first line.
I was just going to say.
The first line, nothing is past sacred.
Yeah,
that's from Ralph Waldo Emerson's book on self-reliance and free thought. And then Henry David Thoreau came in with the rest of that. So the transcendental movement, take a look at it, folks. It happened in the 1800s in this country. It was our first attempt.
Late 18, early 1900s. Yep.
First time America had a philosophical movement of its own. It's called transcendentalism.
Yeah.
But it's really the forerunner to a lot of modern day spirituality. It has a blend of Eastern tradition and Western tradition. So check it out.
Yeah.
But thank you, Lori, for looking him up and making Emerson part of this program.
It resonated with me, so I thought I'd share. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm perfect, whole, and complete, and I'm one with the universal consciousness and the all that is. So, Anyway, that's it for tonight, you guys. 2 hours. I hope you got some.
Do that alignment tonight. Do that energy alignment with your meditations
tonight. Check in with your alignment.
Put the intents out there. Yeah.
And hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Do something nice for yourself and do something nice for someone else. Yep. And appreciate y'all being here. So much love and appreciation for everyone watching in the chat, silently watching, or who will watch us in the future. Thank you so much for being here and sharing some time with us. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Not everyone.
Until then, peace, love, and all that comes with it.